Have you ever noticed that you feel completely drained after hanging out with certain people? Or that you abandon your own personal goals just to fit in with your friend group? Most people believe that loyalty means sticking with your friends no matter what, especially if you have known them for years. But psychology exposes a much darker truth about social dynamics. Sometimes, the exact people you think are supporting you are actually acting as subconscious anchors, pulling you down and keeping you stuck in life. Today, we're going to decode the hidden psychology behind why your social circle might be rewiring your brain to fail. Here are 5 signs your friends are secretly holding you back, backed by psychology. Reason number 1 is that you are falling into the Asch conformity trap. Have you ever agreed to a bad idea or stayed totally quiet when your friends were doing something you knew was wrong? You probably just told yourself you were going with the flow to keep the peace. But in the 1950s, a social psychologist named Solomon Asch ran a famous experiment, proving that people will routinely give obviously wrong answers to simple questions, just because the rest of the group gave the wrong answer first. The human urge to conform is biologically overpowering, and the tendency to yield to a majority opinion is often stronger than your own basic perceptions. If your friends constantly make bad financial, health, or life choices, your brain will literally overwrite your own logic and common sense just to make sure you fit in. You aren't losing your mind, you're just succumbing to extreme social pressure. Reason number 2 is experiencing the risky shift and the diffusion of responsibility. Think about the worst, most impulsive decisions you've ever made. Chances are you didn't make them alone. Psychology shows that groups often experience something called the risky shift, where a group will make far more daring, reckless, or destructive decisions than any of the members ever would as individuals. Why does this happen? It comes down to the diffusion of responsibility. When you are with your friends, your brain subconsciously feels like the blame for any negative consequence will be shared among everyone. So you don't feel personally accountable for your actions. If your friends constantly push you into taking massive, unnecessary risks that ruin your progress, they aren't just being adventurous, they're actively short-circuiting your personal judgment. Reason number 3 is being trapped by the propinquity effect. Sometimes you look around at your friends and realize you have absolutely nothing in common with them anymore. You don't share the same goals, the same values, or the same drive for success. So why are you still hanging out with them? Psychology points to the propinquity effect, which proves that we tend to form and maintain friendships simply because of physical proximity and repeated exposure. Your brain loves the familiar, and frequent interaction breeds a false sense of similarity and affection. You might just be hanging on to these friends because you sat next to them in high school or worked at the same job 5 years ago. Staying in a friend group strictly out of habit and mere exposure is a massive roadblock to your personal growth, because you're settling for convenience instead of finding people who actually challenge you to level up. Reason number 4 is operating with a shared external locus of control. We all know that one friend group where every conversation turns into a massive complaint session. They blame the economy, their bosses, their exes, or society for the fact that they're stuck in life. Psychology links this chronic blame shifting and lack of responsibility to having an external locus of control. This means they genuinely believe life just happens to them, and they refuse to look inward because deep self-reflection requires too much effort. If you spend all your time with people who constantly externalize their failures, that victim mentality will inevitably infect your own brain. When your friends normalize helplessness, you subconsciously lose your own drive and stop taking responsibility for your future. Reason number 5 is blinding yourself with cognitive dissonance. Deep down, you already know these friends are holding you back. You feel it in your gut. But walking away from a long-term friendship is incredibly painful and uncomfortable. To avoid that intense psychological discomfort, your brain falls into cognitive dissonance. When you hold strong beliefs about your friends but are met with contradictory evidence about their toxic behavior, it creates an uncomfortable internal inconsistency. To fix this tension, you start twisting the facts and rationalizing their bad behavior to justify staying. You tell yourself things like, they aren't really that bad, or we have so much history together, I can't just leave. Your mind literally tricks you into accepting a toxic environment just so you don't have to face the anxiety of a confrontation. The brutal truth is that you are the average of the people you spend the most time with. Your environment shapes your brain, but you have the power to choose that environment. Outgrowing people isn't a sign of betrayal, it's a sign of your own evolution. Which one of these 5 signs do you relate to the most right now? Drop your number in the comments below. I guarantee you're not the only one dealing with this exact same struggle. And if you learned something new today and want to keep decoding the hidden psychology behind everyday human behavior, hit that subscribe button right now. Stay smart, protect your peace, and I'll catch you in the next one.